Our penalty kill against an umbrella or an overload is a traditional box. And what we're going to be looking to do in all of these cases is break up the skip passes and break up any sort of seam passes that are going to make us vulnerable. So in the umbrella, what you'll notice is that the players are setting up relatively far outside. For the shooters, we want our D ready to block shots and slide out aggressively. And then when the puck rotates to the other side, so in this case, F3 has a puck, the D is in the way, ready to block that shot, and also ready to break up these passes. So we have active stick, active stick, active stick, active stick. Lots of movement, lots of attention to breaking up these passes. So we might have our D fronting against the opposition. In no cases should F1 or F2 be allowed to stand in front of our goalie. Certainly not unmolested. You've got to push them, you got to shove them, you got to get them out of there. So we want to break up these lines, but we don't want our structure to break apart too far. So if this D slides over, this D can cheat a little bit, but if they come too far, they're going to get a skip pass over here, and they're going to have that ability to shoot, right? So our secondary structure on the box is to provide support in case that puck moves around in any of these directions. So this D is here ready to block the shot and disrupt the passes and disrupt the skip passes. This D is ready to slide over. If that puck moves there, puck moves over to here, they slide back, and everybody's moving and staying within the structure. We do not want to chase too far outside of the zone, but if they widen, they start moving, we can widen a little bit just to make sure that our gap coverage is complete. If F1 slides down here, F3 slides over. We don't want our defensive structure to get pulled too far out because it opens up big gaps in the middle of the ice. And then if F1 slides up, we might be able to get a seam pass in on them there. So we don't want to overcommit too far outside the box and too far outside of our structure. But you want to move out enough so that our sight lines are disrupted, meaning the offensive sight lines are disrupted and the angles are cut down as they're trying to get the skip passers or the isolate the 2-on-1s, F1 and F3 against one of these two defensemen. So now let's say that the puck migrates over down into the bottom corner. Your job as a defenseman is to always keep between the puck between you and the net and the other most dangerous people on the ice. So if they have F2 in front of the net, our other defenseman is marking him, but this guy's job is to stay between the puck and the front of the net. Okay, so that way if they make an aggressive move, they can be stopped. And if they try to make a pass through, this defenseman's active stick is going to get in the way and prevent that from happening. Okay, so the umbrella, what we're likely to see is an aggressive movement with these players in front. And your job, defenseman, down low, is to be wary that the puck is going to come to one of these top three guys and a shot's going to be on the way. So as this happens, clear the goalie's sight lines. What we want is for this guy to be blocking it, but if this D can push them out of the way so that our goalie has a nice clear line of vision, that's ideal, so that we do not want to allow this guy to stand in front. So get that guy and get them moved out or put on the ground. If that puck comes in and it looks like there's going to be a rebound, we need bodies on the floor. F1 and F2, they need to be shoved out, pushed down, knocked over. Something needs to happen to them so that they cannot cash in on that rebound. Again, defenseman, if you need to clear it to the sideboards if you need to. That's a safe outlet. If you can, of course, you want to ice it. and put it down the net, but do not ice it back up to the middle, because that is exactly where their guy is going to be waiting to try to intercept that puck. All right, let's move it back down in an overload. So let's say that their team has decided that they want to try running an overload. So they're moving like this. Puck's down here with F1. The overload, they're going to want to move the puck relatively rapidly and cycle it around so that they can create opportunities, especially with skip passes and isolated one-on-ones. So F1 and F3 are going to be moving the puck back and forth to each other, or potentially cycling. D1 and D, the lower D and the upper D, are basically responding and staying in their structure and keeping the, or they're minimizing the ability to make those passes across, right? So if the pass comes down to F3, you're always staying between yourself and the goal. And this guy is sliding over a little bit to prevent that skip pass out there to D2. If you get sucked too far out of the sideboards, you'll notice that now there's a lot of gap, and we can see openings really open up in the defense. Overload is very powerful that way. The whole point of the overload is to get these two defensemen to overcommit, or to get this defenseman to overcommit, which opens up big chunks of ice, right? It looks like the ice is pretty crowded because everybody's basically on half the ice. But what can happen is D gets overexcited and overeager, big chunks of real estate open up for players to move in quickly. So skilled players on the overload, especially these two guys, can isolate and identify weaknesses in the defense by luring in the defense and then opening up into that seam pass behind him. So that's why we play the box. And again, D in front never lets the forward in front have a free position. We're always going to make sure that we got a body on him. And when I say a body on him, I don't mean just standing next to him. We're going to be touching him. We're going to be pushing him. We're going to be making sure that his life is miserable. And so if a puck comes in, we're going to win those rebounds every time, or we're going to clear out F2, or we're going to put them on the ground so that there's no hope of them cashing in an easy, greasy goal. We want all the greasy goals. We don't want to give up any. All right, that's the box penalty kill, which we do against the umbrella and overload. And your job as defenseman is to talk, identify the power play, and then respond accordingly by getting into the right structure.